Okay, hello to everybody. It's my pleasure to be part of this project, to this 24 hours worldwide design conversation. And I'm Francesco Scullica from Polimi Design System, where I teach since many years. I would like to introduce my witness in this conversation, which is Francesca Murialdo. Francesca Murialdo, she's a dear friend of mine since many years. I know her since many years, I have to say. And Francesca is an architect, and she worked as an architect for many years. Then she collaborates and teaches at the School of Design of Politecnico for many years as well. And then recently, some years ago, she moved to UK, where she teaches in a relevant university, Middlesex University in London, and also she's a coordinator of 3 years bachelor programs, and so she's involved in many activities in the school. I think that she represents a good match between a professional approach, because she was an architect and interior designer as well, and a theoretical approach, because she is a teacher and a researcher, and we have shared many researches together between when she was in Milano, but also when she was in London. So I think that her contribution is very important to this debate today, and I think that and I thank you very much. I thank very much Francesca for her presence to this 24 hours world-wide design conversation. So it's quite a long title, I have to say. So thank you, Francesca, and welcome on board, I have to say.
Thank you, Francesco. Okay. Wow, that was a presentation. So
yes, of course.
And now I've got to match the expectation of such a presentation. Thank you so much, Francesco. It's really a pleasure to be here. That's a strange way of saying it. So I think the lockdown and these digital words we are continuously immersed on has prompted us even to change the language. So, what does it mean to be here? I'm in my house. So, but it feels like a little bit like me, I'm in your house and, connecting with so many other people. So I'm really, really happy to be here today. And
yeah, I think it's a very interesting experience, because we share this experience from our houses, from our homes. Yes. And we are talking about our time in concerning the lockdown experience, staying at home for a couple of months or more, because in many countries...
3 months today.
3 months today. So it's quite a long time. In Italy, we stopped this, but in a way, we continues to work from home, and so in a way it's an hybrid experience, because we start to share working activities in the office, but mainly we stay at home for working activities as well. So I would like to know concerning the I would like to ask you a first question concerning your experience. According to you, how has the COVID-19 lockdown affected your life and work in London? Because I think this is you are a special witness, because you are an Italian professional and professor, who lives in London, and so I think you can give a great contribution to the debate.
Yes, that's quite an interesting point, because of course, I'm here, I've been living here for the last 5 years. But at the same time, and especially because everything started in Italy, for the first few weeks I've been splitted. So I was kind of living these 2 parallel life and 2 parallel worlds, being really, really worried of the news coming from Italy at the same time, because we were a little bit behind, trying to understand how we could prevent and get organized somehow, because probably, the same thing would have happened here. And in fact, it did. I think, I can't remember if we are 2 or 3 weeks behind. So it means the lockdown started 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, your one. But yes, I've got to say that the British lockdown, it's been far easier than the one you experienced in Italy. And of course, because, you know, all my family and all my friends are in Italy, we had continuous connection, and I know really well what happened in detail. And that was part of my worries again, you know, of having everyone really isolated and unable to connect to anyone. So here it's been slightly easier. So we always been able to go outside. That, you know, it has made a huge difference. The weather, it's been amazing. It's never been, I think, you know, it's one of those things. And then they say the weather has never been in London like that in the past 200 years or something like that. So that has helped a lot. And the fantastic weather, together with, you know, the possibility to go out to exercise, that was, you know, the official way, has made things much, much easier. And it has gave also to the surrounding this kind of very surrealistic status that in a city as London is, so it's always busy, full of people around. It has been really interesting as well. So I've been cycling miles and miles like never before. And even to discover, you know, the city in this situation that it's never been, you know, and probably, hopefully never will be. So the lockdown, it's, I wouldn't say it's been, I don't want to say it's been challenging, because, you know, we've been really lucky. And we are all good, and we haven't been affected by the virus. You know, that was the main thing. And we haven't been affected by, I don't know, the loss of a job. You know, of course, you know, the virus has got a huge impact on social life. But in terms of course, of, you know, people like losing jobs and things. So, but of course, it's been very strong, let's say. So even in our very little households, you know, the relationship in between us, so it's just 3 of us living together, so not many people, but like the relationship in between the 3 of us and the behaviors have completely changed. And we actually had to even reshape roles in between us. You know, some things have been really, really impacting. And I know in Italy it's been the same, but the homeschooling, you know, so the fact that we had kids at home in need of a lot of input has, for example, impacted not just in terms of time, but in terms of roles. So, you know, so my son was complaining, saying, "You're not my teacher," you know. So it's been a whole kind of thing. But yes, and in a way, in terms of space, that is my, you know, it's my discipline. It has been really, really impacting as well. Within the house, of course, we all know how we had to shuffle things around. The other day, I was telling a friend that we had to drill a hole in the wall to allow the internet cable to get to the corridor, to make sure that we've got, you know, a stable connection throughout spaces. So we had really to make some, you know, implementation into the space. But it's been really interesting, even the wider context. So, for example, in the neighborhood, we met much more people in this kind of lockdown than ever before. So, you know, London, it's, from that point of view, I think it's a much easier place to be in lockdown than Milan, just for the structure of the city itself. So there is a lot of green, and to have a garden, it's not a strange thing. So pretty much, not all, but like pretty much most of the houses that have got a private garden, or maybe a shared one, and there is a park you can walk to in 10 minutes from anywhere to anywhere. And of course that, you know, the fresh air, the ability to be outside has helped a lot. And in terms of the neighborhood, so the street we live in, it's a residential little street. There is no much traffic, and of course in the lockdown there was no one around. It's been really nice because we, just by looking at the window, just by staying in front of the sort of space that you've got in front of the houses here, like, the front garden. It's not a garden, but it's, a kind of contained little space. We started, for example, on a Thursday night to have a drink outside. So everyone was standing in front of his front door in the house, holding a drink and shouting to each other. That it's not very British, so you understand how deeply things and behaviors have changed. Yes,
I think you have developed a Mediterranean attitude in the UK, and also contaminated the relation with your neighbors. A new way of living the space, a more Mediterranean living way of living the space than a British one, I have to say.
Yes, true. But then, of course, we did introduce, the aperitivo thing.
Yes. I think that usually in England it's not so not so diffused. It's not something that happens every night, as in Milano, for example. So
no, it's not at all. But of course, that was the prompt. The prompt of that situation that was really good was like we had every Thursday night the NHS club.
Yes.
I think there is a similar thing that went on.
Yes, also in Milano and also in Italy,
and so that was the occasion in which everyone, the one living at the first, second floor, they were just opening, the window. But everybody living at the ground floor, as we are, you just step out of your front door. And then you've got this strange situation in which in your street, every house has got a person, at least, or two person in front of the door. And so you start looking at each other and waving each other, and then it builds up like a proper street relationship. So in that sense, it's been really interesting, because this idea of the isolation, that's the keyword, the real keyword of the whole situation has been this isolation, and even self-isolation. That was even worse, even as a sound. But then on the opposite, it did prompt more connection somehow. So of course the digital one, the digital connection has been fantastic. And despite the very beginning, everyone was a little bit skeptical and saying, it's not going to be the same. It's not the same, but has given us so many opportunities to get back together with people. And so that's been really, really good. But
Yes, I want to add that this is really a key word. This is not a key word, a key concept, I have to say, because this mix between isolation on one end, but then also connections, because digital connection. So in a way, it was a strange time to leave our home spaces, because we were in an hybrid dimension between isolation and also physically isolation, but also digital connection. And maybe that this match will be also a key point in order to redesign space in the future. What do you think about?
Absolutely. It will be. It's really interesting, again, how we've been managed in really like few days to get organized. So we kind of reacted, all of us. We reacted to a matter of kind of urgent situation. We had, I'm an educator most of my time, so we had to reconnect with, the students, and, in the shorter time possible. So we had a really kind of quick reaction, and it worked out pretty well. So we reshaped completely spaces, the digital one as well, and student spaces as well. And of course that has a huge potential. And being, an interior designer mainly, it's really, I feel like a little bit privileged, because it feels like everything now it's a matter of space. So space might be, physical, first of all, because, we are human and we need a physical space. Yeah, we need a physical space to live in. But of course, there is a metaphorical space as well, and a psychological one as well. And as designers, as interior designers, I think we really have the responsibility and the challenge, but also the opportunity, to really impact in what's going to happen in the next future. Well, I'm optimistic, so I think this is going to be fine. And in 3 months' time, so it's kind of interesting because we've been in lockdown here for 3 months, and in 3 months' time, we're going to be back, hopefully, on campus, welcoming, students back. But as we say, in 3 months, everything can disrupt again and change completely. So we don't know what's going to happen. I think everything is going to be fine, and in 3 months, everything is going to be solved. But it's also interesting to say that even if it won't be fine yet, because maybe there's going to be a transitional time that's going to be longer, I think we've learned so much on how to literally reshape things around us, that we're going to be able to embrace what we've learned in a best way. So it's interesting because, even like thinking and this thinking, it links back to my keyword, that it's speculation. Thinking of what's going to happen next, that's very much part of our work. Of course, we start thinking, okay, how spaces can be doubled up. If you listen to the news nowadays, most of the things are about space. So how can you put students back in the classrooms if you've got, much less students to fit in? How can you allow people to go shopping if you need to distance them? How can space be transformable and flexible? How can a house be an office and a gym? Because that's another good point. So we've been literally moving things around at different time of the day. So how can all these new inputs and new set of values as well can contribute to a new way of thinking space? That's really, really interesting. So we will have a lot to think of and a lot to do, but I think it's been a little bit of a shock. So, it would have been better maybe with a more gradual change. But I think the contribution of the whole situation will impact in a positive way what's going to happen next.
Okay. According to your keyword, speculations, I would like to know specifically what does this keyword mean and why it's relevant in relation to design and lockdown. You have just introduced something about it, but I would like to know more about this, why you have chosen this word and how you think can be applied to design process in a way.
So speculation, it comes from the Latin speculat, that means to look from a vantage point.
Yeah.
And specula, it's the watchtower. So, just imagine yourself on top of the watchtower, probably in isolation, and, and by yourself, but like looking down and having this kind of clear view, but distant of what's there. But a definition that I found of speculation that I think is perfect, I'm going to read it, sorry. It is the activity of guessing possible answers to questions without having enough information to be certain. And that's pretty much what has been happening all the way through this pandemic and what is happening still now. So we've learned that there is no science, as lately they call it, science. There is no politics that has enough information to understand what's going to happen next and what the next steps will be. So we speculate. So what we do is we guess and we speculate. We don't have enough information, but we need to foresee and design the future world. And for us as designers, that's what we do. That's what we always do. That is exactly our role. And this idea of continuously rethinking on whatever aspect of the human life, it's what makes design so relevant and what makes design so exciting as well. So that was my point in in thinking that speculation it's more than thinking. It's got this kind of guess factor embedded within the word that is really, really interesting, because as designer we don't have the answer, but sometimes it's not even important. So it's not a matter of finding the perfect solution. We are not scientists, and we are not I don't know, IT managers. But our role is really to foresee and design literally a set of possible outcomes. And this is really key. It's really an important role, because everyone needs to reimagine their future. It doesn't really matter so much if that's the thing that it will automatically translate into reality, but it's absolutely important to present people, literally I'm talking to everyone, with possible new ways, of possible visions. That's another good word, I think, visions of what's going to happen next.
I think that the vision and speculations are really related to each other, and are two important concepts, two important keywords for education, for example,
yes,
as you talked before, because I think that it's important to give a wide vision. It's not necessary that this vision will transform, will become the reality, but we have to try to give a vision, and then, of course, probably then it will be easier also to reach some practical aspects, some results in a way. So I think that speculation is a key word which is really in relation to our design process, which you have talked before.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because you mentioned the students. And this idea and vision, sometimes it does change, it keeps on changing. So it's nothing fixed, but it's something that keeps on evolving. Like I've learned so much in this experience. But one of talking about my educational, my role as a tutor, as a mentor. This term, I was meant to be a guest at the Politecnico, so everything was set up perfect. A whole list of EasyJet flights and a lot of things and people to see back. But then the first day, well, as you know very well, Francesco, the first day that was meant to be the start of the term 2 was also the start of the lockdown. And so nothing happened. I just went to Milano that weekend, but I didn't see anyone because, everything was already off. And so we suddenly started, as I said, everything as a matter of urgency online, without really knowing so much what we were doing and how that thing could have impact. We didn't even know how long that would have gone for. So, that was the point. And
okay. Like times is going on, and we have probably. Would you like to stay here to talk with you for 1 hour, 2 hours, and so on? But unfortunately, it's not possible. So we have to respect the time. And so, I would like to know that how design will be relevant in the next few months of uncertainty. What do you think about this third topic?
Well, design will be relevant because it's the way it's the way we need to go about. So design, it will be let's say, the filter through which we're going to be presenting our new words. We are all planning ahead and see what's going to happen next. And for now, we are planning in different direction. But design has got this task. So design has got the task to actually, as we said, go and propose new vision. So design, I think it's the key factor. And you can see how it does impact into politics and economics as well. Because of course, I'm an interior designer, but we know that design is such an expanded practice that really is able to impact on pretty much everything. And we will need design thinking and creative thinking towards every little, every sector of the public life that we're going to be facing, because we will need to literally reinvent most of the things, the businesses of people's life and, health and care and all those things. So design is going to be the key discipline, I think. And maybe I'm a bit egocentric about it because, as a designer, but it really feels that without design and even the healthcare, sector can't really go about and plan what it's going to become for the next few months, years, whatever.
Nice. And for the last, we have only 5 minutes. Okay. So what do you think you will be speculating about in the next few weeks?
Okay, so the next few weeks, that will be probably the next 3 months to start with. Well, I will be doing mainly 2 things that I feel I'm really looking forward to, I've got to say. The first one, it will be about thinking how can I organize new educational spaces for my students. And that's really a difficult task, as we all know. And the challenge, I think, would be to understand how can we organize spaces that benefit from these actual situations. So how we can blend. This is the another very contemporary keyword that it's been using in education a lot lately. So it's about how we're going to be blending, these kind of offline, online experiences for the good. And the other thing, I think, would be on how we're going to communicate them, that the lockdown and this situation that is unprecedented, another word that has been used a lot, it's not as bad as, sometimes it's been perceived, especially, I think, from, very young students and, teenagers. The other thing I'm going to be working on, and very interesting as well, is how can I impact as, a mentor, as a researcher, as a teacher, as a human being as well. How can I actually impact and contribute into the investigation of what's going to happen next, and on how to translate this kind of speculation to others.
I think that this is very, very important because I think that we have to try how to reshape our role in also the academic, in the educational field, and probably in our professional life. So we have, in a way, I think, to redesign space according to a new vision, and we have to speculate about these new visions, but at the same time, we have to speculate about ourselves, how we will be in the next future as professionals, designers, and so on. And this is very, very important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, I'm very. Would you like to point out that behind our back there we have 2 plants, 2 or 3 plants, and I it's only. I think that it's strange in a way, because I think that the environment will be more and more important today. for also the future and the future of design. And so this need, I live in a flat, unfortunately, in Milano. I don't have a detached house or an individual home, but I live in a flat, as many of the people in Milano. And so for me, in these months, for example, green and plants and so on were so important in our everyday living. But I think that this is a general trend, and it represents a general trend according to a match between design and environment and sustainability. So I think that time is okay. So it's 1 o'clock, and so we have to close. And I thank you, Francesca, for this nice conversation. As I told before, it would be interesting to continue this work, this conversation, and I hope to have other opportunities in order to develop other kind of collaborations. And I thank all the staff of 24 Hours.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much that has made possible this extraordinary experience worldwide, in order to have a speculation about design, how design could be in the next future, and how designers could be in the next future. So I thank you very much. I say hello to everybody. I thank Francesca, and I hope to see you soon in Milano or in UK. Thank you to 24 Hour staff, and thank you to everybody. I introduce Barbara Camuccini from Polimi and from the team of 24 Hours for the next conversation. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you to everybody.
Bye-bye, Francesca.
Bye. Bye, Barbara. Bye,
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.